Just how big of a game is New Zealand against South Africa this weekend? Definitely, it's going to be a Rugby Championship decider, isn't it? But is this going to be... Well, this is going to be one of two things. This is going to be a rehearsal for a World Cup quarter-final. Or I think this could well be the World Cup final itself. What I saw from these two teams at the weekend just gone, and I'm being careful not to get too far ahead of myself, but it just demonstrates that these are two very, very serious rugby teams who are in a very good place right now. I could not be more excited about this game between New Zealand and South Africa. I'm not even one of the nationalities of either of the teams involved. I'm a total neutral, and yet I am buzzing for Saturday. Bring it on. So I want to begin the preview right here with my thoughts on the game, and I want your thoughts in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Tim. This is Egg Chasers, and we're in a 4-month-long stretch of rugby. Loads of videos are going to be coming, so hit subscribe and get stuck in. And very, very impressed by both of these teams at the weekend. And I think, despite this being a build-up to the World Cup, and we're going to see some massively intense battles in France in September and October, this is going to be full-blooded, isn't it? At Ellis Park, you know it is. Because, well, for one thing, all of these players, they're playing for their World Cup spot. And they're playing for momentum, which that word sometimes gets overused a little bit too much, but it's really important. And this win psychologically, as much as anything, could be massive for later in the tournament. Because let's just recap where we are. New Zealand and South Africa are in the same half of the draw. So they will, if one of them finishes top of their pool and 1 second, they will meet in a quarter-final. And knowing you've got a win in your mind is going to be massive. Equally, if they both go really well and keep these performances up, they could well both top the pool. New Zealand in that big match against France to open up September the 8th. If they can hit the ground running, they could finish top of their pool and avoid potentially South Africa if they finish top of their pool. And if that happens, I think there's a very, very good chance that these two teams meet again in the final. So lots at stake. And when I look at the two teams, let's start at the front and work our way back. And I was massively impressed with the set piece of both teams. We know what Kitsoff and Malherbe can do, and they showed it again at the weekend. There will be a change of hooker, probably Malcolm Marks, and well, we may not see these two starting. Rassie Erasmus and Jacques Nienaber may change it up slightly, but when it comes to World Cup, South Africa know exactly who their two best front row players are, and now New Zealand are in the position where they know exactly who their best players are at prop. And not only that, they are really, really good. Massively impressed by Tyrell Lomax. Oh, sorry. Wrong picture of Tyrell Lomax there. Apologies there. Sorry. I'm an Englishman. I've got nothing to talk about. Dylan Hartley. The Manu Tuolangi, the Vunipolas. Move on. Tyrell Lomax and Ethan de Groot are the real deal. I've been talking them up on my videos recently, and I said, and I'm going to reiterate it again, I said about a week ago in a video I did that I think by the end of the World Cup, Tyrell Lomax and Ethan de Groot will be regarded in the same vein as Frans Malherbe and Stephen Kitsoff. I think they are that good. The improvement of them has been phenomenal. So both set pieces are going to be, well, they're going to put each other through the test. They say steel sharpens steel. This test is going to be so important for both of these packs. Second row, second row, I should say. There we go. South Africa, they've sent 3 over to New Zealand already, and you'd think it's going to be Diaga, Moster, one of those two with Etzebeth in the engine room, and South Africa know exactly where they are there. They know pretty much the players that are going to be involved. New Zealand, however, do they need to risk Sam Whitelock for this? Is he 100% fit coming back? I think there's an argument that you keep Scott Barrett in the engine room. He was a machine at the weekend. What an engine that guy has got. And with Brodie Retallick, I think there's an argument for that. You know Sam Whitelock's a known quantity and you know he's top class. Maybe keep Scott Barrett in there. And what that would also do is allow another opportunity for Shannon Frizzell, who was one of the big positives from the weekend. And in both South Africa and New Zealand's back row, you knew what 2 pieces of the puzzle are going to be, pretty much. Definitely 1, probably 2. But the third spot, the number 6 jersey, not totally sure who it's going to be. Is Shannon Frizzell starting to emerge as that number 6 contender, or will it revert back to being Scott Barrett? Maybe this could be make or break 80 minutes for Shannon Frizzell in terms of getting the starting spot in a World Cup. And I think he's got the attributes of that. When you look back over those classic New Zealand teams, the Jerry Collins type role, the Jerome Kano type role, I think Shannon Frizzell has a lot of those attributes to be able to do that job. So I thought he put his hand up brilliantly against Argentina. In South Africa's back row, I don't totally know what their best back row is going to be, but that's mainly because they've got so many amazing options. Dwayne Vermeulen put his hand up. Is he going to nudge out Jasper Wiese? What do you think about that one? What will the composition, or what should, if they met in a World Cup quarter final or in a World Cup final, what should the 2 back rows be? 6-7-8, 6-7-8, both teams, go, name it. Because that's a massively influential position. As for halfback, there'll be changes for South Africa. Probably Faf de Klerk and Andre Pollard. And hey, Marnie Libok was great. Damian Willemser at 10 is really exciting. When it comes to a tight World Cup quarter final or final, these are the 2 that I would want. Because the kicking game is going to be massively important. And just that solidity that you bring, the structure that you bring to a game when you're up against top-class opposition makes a big difference. I think Andre Pollard and Faf de Klerk. As for New Zealand, well, what I loved, they've got options. I love the balance between D-Mac and Bodie Barrett at the back. The 10-15, the 2 double distributors, second playmaker, loved it. Does D-Mac get another start? I think maybe for the same reasons as I say Shannon Frizzell should get another start, I want to see D-Mac get another start. Because a lot of people will just go, yeah, well, it was just Argentina not playing very well. He hasn't done it against a real top team yet. Well, let's see. Can he? And, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for it. Was it Finlay Christie and the combination that... Whatever the reason was, Richie Mwanga did not look as good as he can do when he came on. And D-Mac, I think, looked good. Really solid. So I say give him another go. And particularly that 10-15 combination. I love Richie Mwanga. And I love Will Jordan as a fullback. But I think there was a reminder at the weekend that Beauden Barrett, he's just got to be in your team, hasn't he? Beauden Barrett's got to be in your 15. Am I wrong on that? Again, in your comments, get stuck in. Am I just being too reactionary based on one good 80-minute performance and I'm not seeing the bigger picture? I just think you have to accommodate him in your team. And for me, I put Will Jordan as a backup for Beauden Barrett for the foreseeable, and it's a straight shootout between those 2 for the 10 jersey. D-Mac's got it at the minute. He did nothing wrong. Let him have a go at the South Africans. And moving out further, we will probably see Damian Dialande in the 12 jersey for South Africa against New Zealand. Maybe Lukhanyo Am at 13, maybe Jesse Creel at 13. But all I want to say is that those 2 were the boys at the last World Cup. Just going to put it out there. What do you think about this? Those 2 are going to be the boys at this World Cup. Lukhanyo Am carrying a bit of a niggle, not yet back to the player that he was a couple of years ago, that we know he can be. Damian Dialande is awesome, but Andre Esterhuizen, I've watched the game again. He was immense against Australia. The brute physicality, carrying the ball up, the focal point that he gives the team, but then the soft skills that he's got, the little chicken wing offloads and defensive work. I think he is exceptional. Really good all-round footballer. Probably doesn't get the recognition for the skills that he's got. So I just think maybe with Lukhanyo Am not being at his peak form, and Andre Esterhuizen coming back, and these 2, when they have played well together in the past, you go and look at the stats. When these 2 play, starting for South Africa, they win a massive percentage of the games. They are a great combination. So just putting it out there that if there were a World Cup final, maybe against New Zealand, then Andre Esterhuizen and Jesse Creel, don't write that combination off. But what a combination New Zealand have got by comparison in Geordie Barrett and Rieko Ioane. Very interesting that neither of those guys were centres to start with. And I wonder what that says about the skill set of a centre. or maybe just the supreme skill set of those individuals that they're able to transition? Or is it just a case of New Zealand having so many great pieces of on the chessboard in the wide positions that they've just manufactured a situation where they can get their best guys on the field in whatever jersey that is? I think there's an argument for that. And those two, top notch. And when I saw their combination starting to emerge at the weekend again, and the way they read between themselves and the way they're both big physical specimens, I just thought that's the envy of most of the rest of the world. I mean, they'll get a test when Jonathan Donty and Gail Fickou are running at them on the 8th of September, but they look mighty good, I've got to say. And I said it on the video straight after the South Africa game, but massively impressed with Willie le Roux. A lot of talk about Damian Willemse. Should he be wearing 10? Should he be wearing 15? I think there's an argument that exactly like the last World Cup, Pollard at 10, le Roux at 15. The fact he is that second distributor, that second playmaker, but he just reads the game so incredibly well. He's got an amazing rugby brain. And sometimes players go over to Japan and they have a dip in form as a result. He's been in Japan for a couple of years and has not suffered from it. He is still a top-class player, as there are right across this pitch. It is going to be a battle for the ages. There's a lot at stake. Yes, it's not a World Cup. It is a Rugby Championship game. And it does have the feel of a World Cup warm-up, but there is a lot riding on this one psychologically, in terms of momentum, in terms of position, and who's going to win starting jerseys, who's going to win squad spots. And when you have in your mind that this is more than likely to be, if not a World Cup quarter-final, then quite possibly a World Cup final, and it would be worthy of it. I cannot wait. Bring it on. When the teams are announced, I'll have a reaction video to the sides. And then, of course, more build-up through the week. Leave me your thoughts on the comments and hit subscribe.